Hey, this is the Highlander. I'm going to show you a little bit about the new firmware version for the Ultimate64 that's been released recently. It's the version 3.11 and the Core 143. Now, if you've already updated and you already know about the firmware, then this video is not for you. But maybe if you haven't updated your firmware in a long time, or you have and you haven't really looked at it, then this may be interesting to watch. There's a couple of major changes, also a bunch of fixes. A few changes I can't show, and I'll explain why. There's two changes that I'm excited about that I would like to show that I think make this update really interesting and worthwhile. Now, the first change is the activation of Wi-Fi support. Many of the Ultimate64s out there have the ESP32 module. I have a version of the board that doesn't have the module, so you can already tell that Wi-Fi on the screen here says no module. So there's nothing that I can say about that, nothing I can show about that. So maybe someone else can do that. The second change in the firmware is the Assembly64 online database integration. Now that's one that I'm eager to show because I really like that. That will work as long as the Assembly64 online database actually exists. And if you have a network connection, it doesn't have to be Wi-Fi. It can also be wired, as I have configured here. You can access the database from your Ultimate64. You can search the database and you can download files, even save them to your own local storage, and just have a browse around and find music, find demos, find games, all that kind of stuff. So I find that really really cool. It's very well executed. It's not perfect yet, but it's an amazing new feature. I personally don't use the Assembly64 tool. To be completely honest, I'd never heard of it, but seeing how it works, I think it's amazing. The third change is that the Ultimate64 now supports a very basic HTTP daemon. It has a little web server. And this web server also implements some API calls that you can do. There's a lot of potential there, limited, of course, by the functionality of the Ultimate64, but there's a little demo that Gideon included that we can have a look at, and it's already functional. The HTML document that is included with the firmware shows how to use some of the API functions. There's some documentation that we can look at, so that's cool. Another change is Jiffy DOS support for the software IEC drive. Another thing I haven't looked at enough to actually add something, so I'm gonna skip that. And it's also now possible to isolate the serial bus from the computer, which allows the Ultimate64 to be used as an external drive or external drives. Now, that's another thing I haven't looked at, I don't know enough about. So that leaves me two talking points, basically, as the Assembly64 integration, which I think will be exciting for many users, and the HTTP daemon. So let's have a quick look. If you go into the menu of the Ultimate64, you will see now that there's the Wi-Fi module. Here's my wired connection, which is what I am using. Now, if you press F2, sorry, it's not what I meant to do. If you press F5, you'll see that there's now a new option at the top, which is Assembly64. If I press enter on that, I can do a new search, and you get to this screen. And this is a query form. I can fill in some of these fields and then do a search, and then I will get a result from which I can make a selection. Now, if I go back to the menu and I press F6, I get to that query form in one go. Now, let's just say that I wanted to find some music. So as you can see, I'm just navigating through these options with my arrow keys, arrow down, arrow up. I press enter on the category and I get this little list, and I press enter on whatever category I want, music. And let's say that I want music that has been added to the database. I guess that's what this date means, in the last 3 weeks. I go to the search bar here and I press space and I get a list. Now, the entire list that, you know, all of the results in this list aren't, what I'm trying to say is that the screen is too small to list all of the results. So at the moment, your search can return more than this, but this is all that is shown. So if you don't find your result, you're going to have to be more specific with your search. But anyway, this is a bunch of SID files. Now, Talking in Your Sleep, a nice hit from the 1980s. If I press enter on this, I can see that there's a PRG. I don't know what that is, but there's a SID here. So if I press enter on it, and this is something that is not currently on my Ultimate64. It's just found this in the database. If I press enter on it and I say play main tune, this file is downloaded to my system and it's played. Now, that is really cool because I didn't have to go to any website. I didn't have to download it. I didn't have to copy it with FTP somehow to my machine. It's just right there. Now, one thing that I find also interesting, that this SID file has been copied to my system. Where did it go? It's gone to this temp RAM disk. I press enter on that, or I go into that, you'll see that it's got a file name, and there it is. This is how it gets on my system, right? This is temporary storage, so when I power cycle my Ultimate64, this information will be gone. I can, however, if I press F3 on this, you can see that there are some options here. And these are the ones that are interesting. If I want to permanently save this file, I can press space on one of these things and copy and paste it somewhere else. So let's do that. So let's take these two. I guess I take both of them. I say Commodore C. It says it's place these two files on a clipboard. I press enter. And then I go to my USB, I suppose, enter, and I go, do I have anything with music? No. I'll just put it in demos for now. That's fine. And I Commodore V that, and it's copying. And now it's permanent. Now it's here. I can just play this. And I can do this with anything. Can do this with games and whatnot. So it's a good song, this, by the way. So if I go back to Shift F6 and suppose I wanted to find anything by Hokuto Force. See if that, that is, it's actually quite a lot. So what if I wanted something not just by Hokuto Force, but something that they did as an easy flash? How about that? Ooh, look at that. You know, and is this all games? I don't know. So what if is Easy Flash? Oh, I can't say Easy Flash and games. But games by by Hokuto Force. So you can just, Ghouls and Ghosts, how about that? Is that recent? I wonder. How about the last 2 weeks? All right. Look, there's a Minesweeper. Who Dares Wins preview? What the hell is that? See, I guess the date that is mentioned here is just when it was added to the database, not when things were published. If I want to clear the form, I found it best to just get out and press Shift F6 or Shift F5 again. And I can also select stuff from certain repos. Like this is where I normally go, CSDB. The categories you've seen, like this was interesting. Has anything been added to the database in the past? Oops. Like Commodore 128, right? And in the past month or something. Anything? I think, what else is there? See, I can also look for cartridge images, PRGs. I can add a rating, which is anything above 7 last month. What? No, nothing. So interesting. I don't seem to be able to clear a field. Once I've selected a category, what are these subcategories? Okay, CSDB Easy Flash. Okay, CSDB Easy Flash in the last month. Right, these are cartridge images. Space Station 23, what is that? It's a cartridge image. I just say run cart, right? Easy as that. It just runs. It just downloaded this, right? Crack intro, trainer menu, main game. I don't even know this. I have to admit that I don't know this game. And I don't have a joystick attached at the moment. But this is how easy it is. Right? And just, if I go to my temp, there it is. There's the Space Station CRT, and I can just save it now. So this is a really powerful way of looking for stuff. If I wanted to look for demos, for instance, of course, the simplest thing. Do I know any demos like Bad Apple or something? Is that a demo? That is a demo, right? Okay, there it is. Onslaught. Okay, I'm not going to run this. This is pretty long, but I can just type in a name of something that I want, which is, I guess, the simplest search you could do if I wanted to Guns and Ghosts. Type that in and search this. Okay, this is the Guns and Ghosts game. As you can see, I typed in Guns and Ghosts, and it found a result. If I type in guns, it'll find more, I think. See, it'll find more. But I can't say, for instance, guns wildcard. That doesn't work. Or does it? Maybe it does. Maybe it does. Huh. But I can't say guns ghosts. Can I? No. It does do wildcard, but it doesn't do wildcard this way. So I can say guns, but I can say Cytronic as a group. Can I do that? No, I can't do that. Anyway, this I think is a very powerful and a very cool little thing to find stuff and just browse a database and immediately have it on your system. I think that's very cool. The other thing, right now, I'll pull up my browser. Can we all see that? Right now, if I type in the IP address of my Ultimate64, I get this. I get this page. And this is generated from an HTML file that is on the Ultimate64. But that is being served to me by the web server, right? My client here is just an HTTP client. I can go to my Flash, and there's a new HTML directory here with an index HTML, and I can view this thing, and this just contains HTML code. It imports some JavaScript from CDN sources. I see that it uses jQuery, and then there's just JavaScript. Now this script is executed on the client, of course, but it is perfectly capable of sending this document to my client. And then you can see all the things that this page can do, like asynchronous API calls. That's funny because if I look at my HTML document here, this is the home page. There's a little SID player, but there are also calls like to reset the machine or reboot the machine. If I press reset machine, you'll see, oh, it'll load the game because that was a cartridge, remember? So I can reset the machine. I can fire off an API call to the web server with a certain makeup and parameters, and it'll execute that function. If you want to know which API calls are available, there is a documentation. It can be reached through the firmware website, and it describes all of the calls that are there. It describes how to build a call. There are some. These are basically the functions that are already there, like resetting the machine that we saw, getting some configurations that are currently there. There's some calls for saving configurations, I believe. Now, load from Flash. You can load your configuration from Flash. You can save it to Flash. You can reset the settings to default. Reset, reboot. You can pause and resume the machine. You can even power off the machine. And there are some runners. Like if I go back to the page, there's a SID player, so I can choose a file from my local drive. Let's take acceleration mix from my Windows machine. I can play, and it'll instruct the Ultimate64 to run the file. I mean, that's possibilities, right? There's just no way to reset it now. It's gone completely unresponsive, actually. Can I stop this? Reset machine. That's funny. That's funny because it wouldn't respond to anything that I did on the Ultimate64 itself. But this is possibilities, right? I can now use my Ultimate64 as a SID player that I control from my browser. I can execute a PRG or a CRT from here. this is one of the calls that is implemented. I'm sure there are other possibilities as well. There's a live monitor. This will allow me... sorry. This will allow me to do some basic monitor functions running on my Ultimate64. So I can disassemble some code. Oh. And it actually disassembles code. Now this is very basic. There are not many functions, but it's just here to show what is possible. There's a basic editor. I can apparently write a program. I can upload it. I've not tried this yet. Is it there now? It is here. Well, if I run it, and it'll just say "Hello World." This is a program that is written in a basic program written in the browser. I can probably also copy paste basic code in here and then transport it to the Ultimate64 in one go. That's amazing. Reset, reboot, and then there's a couple of basic links. So obviously this is the beginning of something. Again, the web server on the Ultimate64 is limited by the resources that it has. I don't think we can currently expand the functions that the web server has, so I can't add API calls. But one thing that I foresee happening is that I can do an HTTP upload from this, from an API call to here. So lots of stuff has changed, and lots of cool things added, and I've just shown 2 in this video. So again, if you haven't tried the new firmware, if you haven't updated in a while, or maybe you have but you haven't looked at it, have a look, have a play with it, because it again revitalizes the Ultimate64 in cool new ways. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Maybe you think this is a very bad video. Tell me, because I get that all the time. Doesn't matter. Have fun. See you next time. Bye-bye.